This week, the United States seized direct control of Venezuela, home to the world's largest oil reserves, in a bold military operation. President Trump's order marks a dramatic escalation in American foreign policy, placing over 300 billion barrels of oil under Washington's authority. This is not a subtle shift. America now openly controls a resource that can reshape global energy markets and geopolitics. The intervention, justified as counterterrorism and regional stabilization, is transparently about economic power. With American capital and technology poised to revive Venezuela's oil industry, the U.S. is absorbing the country into its economic sphere. This move signals a new era. America is willing to use overwhelming force to secure its interests. The result? The U.S. now holds unprecedented sway over global energy supplies, able to influence prices and reward or punish nations at will. China, once a major buyer of Venezuelan crude, must now negotiate with Washington for access. This is the new reality. American military power has redrawn the global energy order. The Venezuelan intervention is part of a broader strategy, the Donroe Doctrine, a modern update to the Donroe Doctrine, focused on energy, not territory. The goal: a unified bloc of oil-producing nations in the Americas, led by the U.S., dominating global energy markets. With the U.S., Canada, and now Venezuela, this coalition controls nearly 40% of the world's daily oil production. Washington's influence extends to Mexico, Brazil, Guyana, Colombia, and Argentina, creating a formidable energy alliance. This concentration of power gives the U.S. market control unmatched even by OPEC at its peak. The logic is clear: energy dominance, not just independence. By consolidating hemispheric resources, the U.S. insulates itself from Middle Eastern instability and Russian competition. America can now set a ceiling on global oil prices, benefiting its own economy and partners. The capture of Venezuela completes this grand design. For the world, energy security now runs through Washington. The Donroe Doctrine has restructured international relations, placing the U.S. atop a new energy hierarchy. The world learned of America's move not through diplomacy, but a military raid. In January 2026, U.S. Special Forces captured President Nicolas Maduro in Caracas, swiftly transferring him to an American warship. This act decapitated Venezuela's government and signaled a new era. President Trump announced direct American governance, dismissing any quick handover to local opposition. The message: this is not a support mission, but a takeover. The operation, planned by Trump's top officials, was the boldest move yet in a series of aggressive U.S. actions abroad. International reaction was shock and apprehension. The precedent of seizing a sitting leader challenges national sovereignty. For Venezuelans, their fate is now in foreign hands. For the world, it's a stark reminder of America's willingness to reshape the global order by force. After Maduro's capture, the Trump administration made clear its intent: a long-term, direct occupation of Venezuela. Unlike past interventions, the U.S. is not installing a local government, but acting as administrator until its objectives are met. The official justification is stability and reconstruction, but many see it as a pretext for securing oil. Hardliners like Marco Rubio and Stephen Miller are shaping policy, focused on advancing American interests. The plan is to re-engineer Venezuela to serve U.S. strategic and economic goals, securing oil fields, redirecting exports, and ensuring future governments align with Washington. This approach is a high-stakes gamble. Every problem in Venezuela now becomes America's to solve. While it grants maximum control, it also exposes the U.S. to the risks of a prolonged occupation. The outcome will define the legacy of this new era of American foreign policy. Can America not just topple regimes, but govern nations? At the heart of the intervention is economics, unlocking Venezuela's oil wealth for American benefit. Trump has been blunt. The goal is to let U.S. oil companies invest billions to fix Venezuela's crumbling industry. Years of corruption and neglect had slashed output to a fraction of its potential. For American firms, this is a golden opportunity, a broken asset ready for rapid, profitable revival. Venezuela's extra-heavy crude is a perfect fit for U.S. Gulf Coast refineries, designed for this type of oil. Now, these refineries will have a secure, politically controlled supply. American companies will lead the revival, sidelining international competitors like China and Russia. Within 18 months, U.S. oil giants could be fully operational in Venezuela. This is a massive transfer of economic opportunity. Venezuela's oil is now part of the American domain. The message is clear: the revival will be managed by and for American interests. The world's greatest economic prize is now in U.S. hands. Reviving Venezuela's oil industry is a monumental task, and the Trump administration has a phased plan. First, U.S. forces secure key energy sites, oil fields, pipelines, refineries, and export terminals to prevent sabotage and stabilize assets. Next, a flood of American capital and technology will modernize infrastructure, repair wells, and upgrade refineries. U.S. energy giants, with their expertise, are poised to double or triple output within years. A crucial step: redirecting exports. The U.S. has blocked Venezuelan oil to China, now channeling it exclusively to American refiners. This not only secures resources for the U.S., but also deals a strategic blow to China. The long-term vision is full integration, creating a seamless supply chain from Venezuela to the U.S. Gulf Coast. Operations and regulations will be standardized to favor American investors. The goal: transform Venezuela from an independent producer into a subordinate part of America's energy empire. This is not partnership, it's absorption. Venezuela's resources are now a strategic U.S. asset. With control over Western Hemisphere oil, the U.S. has become the world's energy superpower. America can now act as the global swing producer, managing supply and prices at will. This leverage redefines relationships with the Middle East and Russia. No longer dependent, the U.S. sets the terms. Russian officials admit America can keep oil prices low enough to hurt rivals like Russia and Iran while still profiting. The U.S. can now decline offers from adversaries, symbolizing true strategic independence. This power removes the threat of energy blackmail and gives Washington freedom to pursue its foreign policy goals. For the world, U.S. decisions on oil production directly impact every economy. This concentration of power brings both stability and risk. Energy prices may be more stable, but the world is now vulnerable to the political whims of Washington. The global energy market is no longer free. It's managed, with the U.S. at the controls. America's oil empire has changed the rules. America's oil empire has unleashed a new era of foreign policy boldness. No longer constrained by fears of energy shocks, the Trump administration has acted aggressively on the world stage. Bombing raids on Iran's nuclear sites and support for Ukrainian strikes on Russian refineries are just the beginning. These actions, once unthinkable, are now possible because the U.S. can manage any fallout in oil markets. The capture of Maduro is the clearest example: direct intervention, regime removal, and occupation, all enabled by energy dominance. This freedom is reshaping alliances and rivalries, making the U.S. a more decisive, if unpredictable, partner. Adversaries now face a less constrained, more assertive America. The global landscape is more volatile, defined by raw power. The era of consensus is fading. Unilateral American action, backed by energy and military might, is the new norm. The U.S. takeover of Venezuela's oil marks a new chapter in global politics and economics. The Donroe Doctrine has reordered the world's power structure, giving America unprecedented leverage. Nearly 40% of global oil is now under U.S. influence, making energy security dependent on Washington. For importers, this could mean stable prices, but also deep dependency on U.S. decisions. Oil producers outside the Americas, especially in the Middle East and Russia, now play a diminished role. America's assertiveness is forcing other powers to reassess their strategies in a more unipolar world. The events in Venezuela signal a new era. Energy is the key, and America holds it. The world must now adapt to a reality where the U.S. writes the script. The 21st century's story is being written in oil, and the pen is in Washington's hand.